everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my January wrap-up video. January was an okay month. I didn't read nearly as much as I wanted to, but you know, that happens sometimes. I read 7 books and made like decent progress in War and Peace, but I haven't finished it yet, so we're not counting it. Let's get into the books, I guess. We'll just dive right in. So the first book I read was Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I don't know how to say her last name. I did this as a buddy read with my mom. I didn't know a lot about this going into it. I was very pleasantly surprised. I gave this 4.5 stars. I'm really excited for the next book coming out in the fall. I want to say it's September, but that could be wrong. This book follows Lou, who is a witch, and Reed, who is a witch hunter. Due to an accident, they are forced to get married. Lou is trying to hide her identity from Reed so that, you know, she doesn't get hunted and killed by her own husband. I was really excited and invested in the characters and to see like how their relationship would unfold because Lou is keeping such a big secret. There's a lot of like good friendships in this book as well that I enjoyed reading about. Lou has some really great friends. So overall, really enjoyed it. Really excited for book 2 to come out. I will definitely be picking that up. The next book I read was Truly Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty. I listened to this on audio. I gave this 4 stars. This follows three different families. This follows 3 different families. You have Tiffany and Vid, who host a barbecue at their house. You have Erica and Oliver, who are Tiffany and Vid's neighbors. They're a young married couple, like successful. And then you have Erica's best friend, Clementine, Sam, and then their 2 children. So those 3 families all get together for a barbecue at Tiffany and Vid's house, and something happens and it kind of changes the course of all 3 families' lives forever. And I loved the way this kind of has 2 different timelines. You have leading up to the barbecue and then after the barbecue, and you kind of switch between the 2 to see what happens. This book, like, it's a mystery as to what happened at the barbecue, and then once you find out what happens at the barbecue, like, you still have questions as to what the outcome of that thing is. I really enjoyed this. This is the 2nd book I've read by Liane Moriarty, and I'm really enjoying her as an author so far. The 3rd book I completed this month was Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I read this as part of the Analog that Tia from Tia All the Books and Amanda from the Curly Reader are hosting. I loved this. I gave it 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star. It wasn't quite a 5-star read for me, but I really enjoyed it. I remember, I don't know, it must have been in high school, trying to read this and not being able to get into it. And I don't know what I was thinking back then because I loved this so much. I related to Anne on so many levels. Like, I saw myself as a child, like, in Anne. Like, she has so much imagination. She just wants to be loved and have a family. And she talks a lot, which I do and did when I was younger. And I loved her as a character, and I could relate to her on a lot of things. So if you don't know what Anne of Green Gables is about, you have Anne Shirley, who is an orphan, and she's she's like bounced around from house to house, family to family, and she finally ends up in an orphanage, and she is adopted by the Cuthberts, who are a brother-sister, like, family that live on Green Gables. You follow her life with the Cuthberts from adoption to like her turning 16. I think when this starts out, she's like 10 or 11. I love her, and I'm really excited to continue the series and see what's next for Anne. All right, what number am I on? The 4th book I read in January was Cherry Cheesecake Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is book 8 in the Hannah Swenson series, I think. I gave this 4.5 stars. It's the middle of the series. I don't want to spoil too much. Basically, like an independent film decides to film some scenes in Lake Eden. There's a little bit of drama because the director has some unconventional methods for like getting the shots that he wants, and the director ends up dead, and they start investigating to see what happened. We all know that I love this series. I enjoy being in Lake Eden. Another really great book. I highly recommend this series, so check it out. The 5th book that I read was Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan, book 3 in the Crazy Rich Asians series. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one either because it is the last book in a series. Basically, you still follow Nick, Rachel, Astrid, all of the characters that we've gotten to know and love from the other 2 books. And they all go back to Singapore because Nick's grandmother is really sick and they are pretty sure that she is going to die. So yeah, my biggest complaint, and I loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. Like I've given the entire series 4 stars as a whole. Like it's a solid series. My one complaint with this book is there's so much buildup. It's an almost 400-page long book, and there's so much buildup, and you get to 50 pages left in the book, and you're like, how is all of this stuff going to get resolved in the next 50 pages? And I feel like the last 50 pages of the book were so rushed, and so much happens. The last 50 pages could have been its own book. There could have been a 4th book in the series to just tie up all of the loose ends that there were. And I didn't love how Kevin Kwan decided to wrap that up. I felt like there were some, like, I don't know, shortcuts taken. I'm not a huge fan of the ending. I'm, like, okay with it. It was all right. Like, everything got resolved, just in a very rushed way. And I think it was a little bit of a shortcut, and he could have written another book. Then I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was only a 4-star read for me. It's not my favorite, but it was still really, really good. This follows Emma. Emma, when she was like in her 20s, marries her high school sweetheart, Jesse. The day before Emma and Jesse's 1-year wedding anniversary, Jesse takes in an assignment for his job to, I think, go to Alaska, and makes it to Alaska, gets on like a helicopter or like small airplane, and there's a crash and Jesse is presumed dead. Emma is heartbroken. It like heals and starts to move on from this horrible like heartbreak, and runs into one of her old friends, Sam. They fall in love and get engaged, and one night Emma gets a phone call, and it's Jesse, and Jesse is alive and is ready to start his life back up with Emma, and Emma has to decide which way to go. And so that's what this book is about, is choosing between her one true loves, plural, and it was good. It was sweet, it was heartbreaking, it was hard to read at times because you kind of fall in love with both men for different reasons. Your like heart breaks for her when Jesse dies, and then when he comes back, your heart breaks for her again, even though like that should be like the happiest moment of her life. Like, yeah. Very good. I just feel like, having read so many of her other books, like I only have one more book left by Taylor Jenkins Reid to read. I've connected with other characters of hers a little bit better, and I enjoyed other storylines a little bit more, but I really did enjoy this. Then the last book that I read, technically I finished like the last 30 pages this morning, but we're wrapping it up now because 350 of them were read in January, and that is On the Street Where You Live by Mary Higgins Clark. This is the book that I drew from my TBR wine glass, so I read it. I don't have to unhaul a book. This I gave 3.5 stars. So this book follows Emily Graham. Emily has just purchased a house in Spring Lake, New Jersey. And the house that she purchased was in her family in the 1800s. And then her ancestors sold the house in 1892 to another family. And Emily found it and the owners were selling it, so she decided to buy it. The previous owners were getting ready to build dig for a pool, and she decided, you know what, sure, just continue on, sure, I'll get a pool. And while the contractors are digging to put in this pool, they find a body, and the police come and realize there's not just one body, there's two, and one is significantly older than the other. So they figure out that the first body is a woman named Martha. Yes, a woman named Martha who disappeared a few years ago, and they've now found her body. But Martha was buried with the finger bone of somebody from the 1800s, and that somebody is actually Emily's ancestor. And so now 2 bodies have been uncovered. And from there, so Emily, who is a lawyer, starts investigating both murders. That's that. I'm not going to say much more because it is a mystery and who wants that spoiled? So these are the books I read in January. Let me know down below if you have read any of these, what your thoughts are on them. Let me know what books you read in January as well. I'd love to know so that I can check them out. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!